Hello everyone, welcome to the QuantX Research. I'm Utkarsh Dubey, your Econometrics faculty, and today we'll be learning the two variable regression analysis. Today we would able to understand the basics of two variable regression analysis, and by end of this session we would understand the basics of econometrics first, and after that we would recap the concept of regression, and then after we would continue with our discussion. Let's get started. Two variable regression analysis, right? So whenever we talk about the two variable regression analysis, then you can say it's a basic and fundamental of a regression analysis where a single dependent and a single independent variable. And in this type of a regression analysis, we can easily calculate any economic phenomena. For example, if we are calculating the consumption and relationship with income, and we do want to get insight from that mathematical model, then it's quite easy for us because there is not lots of factor which is affecting as per our hypothesis, or let's say as per our assumption. So it can be very much easy for us to calculate it in a very proper way, right? So regression analysis is a powerful and statistical tool that helps us to understand the relationship between two variables, as we know, right? So the thing I want to mention here is the prime objective of a two when we talk about the two variable regression analysis, then we do say estimate the average value of the dependent variable for the given value of an independent variable. As we have discussed before, the actual mean of a regression is to moving towards rigor. But whenever we talk about the modern approach, then in modern approach we just do try to understand the relationship between two variable, where we try to estimate the average value of a dependent variable for a given independent variable, right? So here the thing we have also needed to understand the population regression function. And actually whenever we have data of entire population, and based on the entire population, when we do try to calculate the relationship between two variable or to estimate our economic model, then we do say it's a population regression function, right? For example, if we are saying y equal to beta 1 plus beta 2 x, then it's a population regression function. But if we are taking a sample, and based on that sample we just trying to estimate and trying to understand the properties of entire population, then there we do say it's a SRF, sample regression function. And based on the sample regression function we try to get better insight, and for that there is a requirement of lots of factors which we will discuss further. And most of the discussion of this series of lecture would go with the sample regression function, because in the actual economic phenomena it's not possible to get data from each and every one. For example, in a census survey we do get data from each and every one, but it's quite expensive, and we do not take census survey for each and everything what on the topic we want to research with. So sample regression function is going to be a very critical for our discussion, and today's class is a very basic and very short. In our further class, in our tomorrow's class, we would discuss with graphs with the SPSS statistical tool, and we would also work with some data sets so that we can get deeper and a better empirical insight, right? Yeah, deterministic and stochastic components of regression, as we have discussed in our previous lecture. For example, if we are saying y equal to beta 1 plus beta 2 x, then it's a deterministic in a nature, because here we are just talking about the single factor which is affecting our mathematical model. But in reality, whenever in the econometrics, we just do try to estimate the model and we just try to validate the economic theory empirically, then there are multiple factors which affect our economic model. So that's why we do add stochastic term in our deterministic model, or let's say in mathematical model, and make it econometric model, right? For the visualization of regression, we do use a scatter plot mainly, and there are another popular methods to visualize it, which we will discuss in our advanced course. But for here, we can understand the basic and most popular way to visualize it through the scatter plot, where scatters reflects how data sets are performing in that economic phenomena, right? So now if we talk about another most important concept of regression analysis, then that's the linearity in a regression, right? Whenever we talk about the linearity, then there is a two type of a linearity in a parameter and linearity in a variables. In when we do say linearity in a parameters, then we do talk about the coefficient. There is a linearity between coefficient beta 1 and beta 2, right? And whenever we're talking about the linearity in a variables, then we are talking about the relationship between x and y is represented as a straight line, right? So as we discussed, there can be linearity in parameters like beta 1 and beta 2, and linearity in a variables like x and y. And here we are just talking about the two variable regression model, so we are just mentioning two of them. If there would be more than two variables, then we can also say this, there can be linearity between beta 1, beta 2 and beta 3, right? So the thing is very interesting. Even if relationship between x and y is non-linear in a nature, right, it still can be modeled as a linear parameter, right? It's very important topic point which we should always keep in mind, right? As we mentioned, there can be example of income and consumption when we were talking about the two variable regression analysis, and also education and wages. For example, if we are having higher year of education, then is our wage is increasing significantly or not? And in our tomorrow's session, we would also try to take some examples, maybe some of these examples as well with actual real life data set, so that we can get proper insight with the results of a statistical software, so that we can really enjoy and understand and get the insight of actual real applied econometrics, right? So thank you so much for today's session, and yes, there's another cues as well for today's session. For example, if a family earns a weekly income of $200 using the regression equation y equal to 50 plus 0.1x, predict their weekly consumption. So there is nothing very special. You just needed to put the value of x in this equation, and yes, you will get the answer of 70, because 200 when multiply with 0.1, it would become 20, and 20 plus 50 would become 70. Okay, thank you so much. And whatever suggestions you do have, please write down below in a comment section. And it's just a beginning. There might be some issues with explanation and other factors as well, but over the period of time, I will improve together with you and make this journey more special and more informative. Thank you so much, guys.